everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Ask Carter. This is going to be like a cozy kind of late night winding down radio show. I don't know if you're familiar with the cozy Delilah radio show that used to play in the late 90s, but there were so many times where I was riding around with my parents in the car late at night and Delilah would come on. It would be such a soothing time. And a good friend of mine really enjoyed the Woo Loop series and said that it was a really great winding down series for her. And I kind of took that as an opportunity to kind of rebrand and create the Woo Loop series to be an actual thing. So this is something where I am taking anonymous submissions and answering their questions while I do a very cozy task. If they ask for advice, I'm going to give it right here on Ask Carter, and it's going to be a cozy time. So this is a great opportunity if you're at home and you are wanting to do a bundled up kind of task. Maybe you're going to get under a blanket, snuggle up, and do some knitting or a puzzle. Maybe you got chores to do. Maybe you have to wash dishes, or you're in the car going from task to task. Whatever it is when you're listening to this, I hope that it is a good time for you and you feel like it's like a friend chatting with you. Maybe an embrace, if you will. Something very warm. But this month we've been doing Christmas in July, so it feels absolutely necessary that we do some more Advent Woo Loop together. There's still some really great levels that I haven't done, and I'm ready to dive into them and answer some questions with you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and start with Christmas tree. Oh boy. Okay. All right, let's get started here. So, first question is, what do you like to do besides streaming and games? I love this question. Oftentimes I feel like for people that stream or make any kind of content online, sometimes we get so focused on that we forget to share a little bit more of the behind the scenes of our everyday regular life. So I love this question. What do I like to do? Well, I can tell you one thing that I like to do. I love to paint. I love art. I took art classes for many, many years. It was something that I've always found really therapeutic. I love to paint, especially at nighttime. I don't know why, but my creativity for painting is always best at night. But besides painting, art in general is just a really great hobby. You don't have to be a great artist to love it. I feel like it's as simple as getting out some colors and letting your inner child come to life on paper. It's actually quite sad. I feel like as adults, we get in front of a blank piece of paper and we say, oh, I don't know what to put down. And as a kid, we didn't have to think about it at all. It gave us a blank piece of paper and anything could come to life on the page. So I really try and let my inner child live some more through art. So I do like art. I also love to do puzzles. And not just the ones that have the puzzle pieces that you put together on a table, but I have a puzzle book that I keep by my nightstand, and it is full of a variety of puzzles. I think there's like hundreds of pages of different types of puzzles. Every time I turn the page, there's a new type of puzzle to explore. But I love to do puzzles, if that wasn't surprising, because I love the Nancy Drew games. If I find a book that I feel very settled on, I do like to read a good book. I feel like in my spare time, I do a lot of serving at church as well. Whether that be making graphics for our church page or any ministry that's in need of a graphic, or also making content for my church as well. I've been serving in church as such since I was about a teenager, since I was about 13 or 14. And I like to do just things. I like to stay busy. So anything I can do to stay busy. Find new places to go, try new foods at new places I've never had before. Go to the library, go to the park. Something I feel very passionate about is that I want to live life. I want to enjoy the life that God has given me, right? And if that looks like going for a walk one day and staying inside and reading a book the next, it just kind of go like that, I like to cook. Ooh, I love finding new recipes and cooking. That's always a good time. So I don't know. I think that's a pretty good bit of what I like to do. Of course, I like to create content. I guess that kind of does fall around streaming, doesn't it? But I feel like when I create content, it does give me a task to do. I love to think about, what's a video that I could make? I love to sit down and edit footage and videos. That's really fun. Although it can be very tedious, it is very fun. Something about the monotony of a project is just fun to me. And checking off a list, love it. Love it. And I'll say this, and then we can talk about our next submission, but I would also say another huge pastime is I love to go to thrift stores. I have a big giant record collection that I am always adding to, and anytime I can go to a thrift store and look through a section of vinyls and records, I'm a happy camper. Most of my records right now consume of movie soundtracks and Christmas albums. I have plenty of Christmas vinyls, and they're lovely. Also some classical music. I do have some of that. So some good stuff. I have some good vinyls that I have snagged for really good deals. So, but yeah, no, I would say that's what I like to do. There we go. Just like so. All right, let's talk about the next submission. Oh, wow. This is a deep question. Kind of throwing me for a loop. Not to be punny, but to be punny. The question is, what is your dream job? What are your thoughts about dream jobs as a concept? Oh boy. That's a question, right? Maybe I should start with what do I think about the concept of a dream job? I think we all have dreams inside of us and hopes and desires. And I think that does come out in what we want to do when we wake up and we live life and we say, what do I want to do today? A lot of the times, what we're truly passionate about is something that we wish to be our job, right? To wake up and to just go do that every day, right? And in that sense, I think that that's very human, very normal, right? I feel like we all have gifts and things that are inside of us that we want. You know, for me, I love what I do. I am passionate about what I do. I don't know if it is my dream job. When I chose to pursue a career in nursing, I knew that it was checking off a lot of my boxes, but I don't know if that is my dream job. So it's interesting because I love what I do. I wake up and I go, yeah, you know, I get to help people. I get to make a difference. I get to serve. I get to work a job in a field that I love. It's very people oriented. I get to talk. So I love science. But it's funny because my dream job doesn't really reflect all of those boxes. If I had to choose something, I would say many things, I think. I find it very hard to choose just one thing. I think there's so many things that would be so fun and cool to do. But, you know, for example, I think I would really enjoy to do something similar to Mr. Rogers, right? Or Reading Rainbow, right? Or The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. Something that's like, this is very me. I don't know. I guess in a sense I am kind of doing that in my own way with CarterPlays. Just to have my own thing that's like provides something for someone, you know? So I guess in my own way, maybe I am kind of sort of living out a dream by doing this. Because I get to make content, and I hope every time that I make something, I'm like, oh, I hope this makes this person smile that watches this, or that they really watch this and feel like they have a friend. So maybe I'm living more of a dream than what I think. But I will say, I think that goes back to a lot of what we were talking about earlier, you know? I think that there can be found great purpose in just the everyday, right? A lot of the times, I think as people, we can get fixated on, oh, I want to do this, you know? But maybe there's a way that we can start doing it now. I think there could be. You know? No, I don't have to have made it with my own beautiful Rogers Neighborhood TV show, or like a Bill Nye science show, but I have YouTube, right? So maybe I can still do something in that vein, but in an inexpensive way, and when my schedule allows. So I don't know, maybe you're listening today and you're like, ugh, I have this dream. Maybe there is still a way that you can still live that out, even if it's not something right now in your life you can do full time. I'll say it like this. If you're passionate about it, if you love it, I believe that you can do it. I really do. I think there is great power and determination, and when you set your mind to something, right? But yeah, I think that's my answer on dream jobs. Very good question, by the way, whoever submitted that. But I will be honest with you, these questions do not get any easier. They actually only get harder. All right, let's see. What's our next question? Any Christmas memories or traditions that you particularly cherish? Ooh, what an excellent question, especially fitting for our episode tonight. Yes. On Christmas Eve, without a doubt, I knew that my grandma would be coming to stay the night with us. And it was exciting. My grandma is a widow and has been a widow for many, many years. Her husband, my grandpa, died pretty early on in their relationship. And so, I don't know, something was always exciting about the idea that my grandma would come and stay, and be around all of us, and it would be so fun because, I'm only but just 6 or 7, she's older. And so I'm, of course, as hyped as all children can be. And I don't know, I think it was exciting to see how happy she was just to be there, just to witness these things unfold and how excited I would be. We used to have this website that my mom would pull up on our chunky computer that would track Santa to see like where he was in the world. And it was so funny because going back and looking at it as an adult, you're like, oh, like how did I ever believe that as a kid? But I think that's what's so wonderful, right, about our faith as a child. We believe, right? So they would have this really cheesy graphic of Santa and his sleigh, and it would show like where Santa was in the world, and I would get so excited about that. And we would also watch the Polar Express every Christmas Eve without fail. And so that was another thing that I have carried on now to this day. I watch the Polar Express every Christmas Eve. And I know it's not a super popular movie amongst a lot of people. I know a lot of people don't really care for that movie, but something about it always spoke to me. And I think it has a lot to do with what I was talking about earlier, is that as kids, we have this extraordinary faith in whatever we are told to believe. And as an adult, it just ends up fading away, and it's something that we end up losing. And we have to remind ourselves, oh, remember when I just believed? So I think that when I watch the Polar Express, it reminds me to continue to tap into that childlikeness of myself and never let go of that true child faith, right? So I always love that movie. I also think it's very funny. I think it's a funny movie. I could quote it and just love it. I love it. I'm trying to think. I know there were some other ones too. I know that another really exciting one, every Black Friday, we would decorate our house for Christmas. And that was always such a fun time. I knew that after Thanksgiving Day of being with family, eating delicious food, watching the parade, football, I knew that the next day I would wake up early. We would play Christmas music on my grandma's old radio that you had to dial and tune in, right? And it would be our local station, Sunny 98.3. And we would listen to Christmas music all day long as we put up decorations. And I have never let go of that tradition. I've been married for 5 years, and every Black Friday we go to everybody's house and we put up their tree. We go to my parents, my grandma's, her parents, her brothers. We go to everybody's house. Our tree, everything all goes up on Black Friday. It's kind of like turned into like the day of like Christmas Day for us. It's like such a fun time. So, and then one other tradition that I've always really loved is cooking with my mom. My mom has some pretty fun recipes that we would always make together. Two particularly that I can always remember are Christmas wreaths, which were just Rice Krispies that were put together with like fluffy marshmallow and dyed with food coloring green, and put 2 little red hots on top to make like the red berries that go on a wreath. And that was the Christmas trees. And then something called trash. It was like a combination of a bunch of different Chex Mix, and you put it in the oven, and I think you like hold it together with some chocolate maybe, and it looks like a pile of trash. It's a bunch of different Chex Mix and chocolate put together. Oh my goodness. And this was so awesome because every time we would sit and we would bake this together, you'd eat on it for days. Just became like your Christmas go-to treat. So those are the ones that I cherish the most because I think those are the ones that we've stuck to the most. Oh man, we have so many really good questions, you guys, like so many awesome submissions. And also, I think this would be an excellent time for me to mention this, but if you would like to submit a question, or maybe you need some advice, or maybe you just want to tell me a story and I'll tell it here and talk about it, there is actually a link to the submission form and it is sitting in the description of this video. So be sure to check it out and submit something for the next episode. All right, let's talk about the next submission. So what are your thoughts on online friendship? In your opinion, can those friendships be as deep and long-lasting as in real life friendships? Oh, wow. And that's just part of the question. Well, let me think on this. I think, let's see. Online friendships, I think, must be treated as safely as you would with any other person that you would meet in real life. I don't think it is a safe thing to say, hey, pour everything out to this person that you barely know and of course cannot physically see, right? Or verify anything. I think with all relationships, things, they take time. They take time to develop and grow, and you can't just jump into anything or be hasty, right? However, I do believe in online friendships. I do believe that they can exist and can grow. I actually have a very, very good friendship now that has come about strictly from meeting people through an online community. Something that I didn't really think that would ever really happen, but it has, right? But I think the trick is that we both have taken the time to really pour into the relationship and have not made this friendship become a very quick thing. I think with online friendships, it's very easy to divulge more because you can't see the person, and sharing things online sometimes can be a little bit easier because it's harder to say things face to face. So sometimes that can cause an online friendship to just reach deeper levels faster than in-person ones, right? So that's why I say I think that things should be treated so much so that it's almost as if you would do it if it were in real life. Take your time getting to know this person. Don't divulge everything so quickly. And as far as do I think they can be as deep and long-lasting as real ones, I say yes. I do. I think, of course, there are elements there that cannot occur, right? Like a true friendly embrace, well, that couldn't happen, but that doesn't take away from the realness of someone's relationship or friendship, right? Although I do believe in human connection, right? In the human touch. I believe it's powerful and needed. But we are living in a time where online is a thing and will be a thing. I don't think that's ever going to go away. And I do think that people can find great friendships online. Now, the same person said, in the age of social media and chronic online activity, do you have recommendations for safely bringing those online friendships to real life? Now, if I'm understanding the question that's being asked, I want to make sure. If you are saying, how can I bring relationships that I've established online to real life? I'm not sure if you mean you would like to meet those same people that you've made friends with online in real life, or if you mean advice for making friends in real life based on how you've made friends online. Maybe you're saying you have had better opportunity to make friends online, but not so much in real life, right? So I'll answer both questions because I want to make sure I answer yours, right? I'll say this. If you're struggling to make friends in real life, I think you should be yourself always and allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to get deep with people, and know this, that you may get deep with someone and that may not be a person that you become friends with, and that is okay. Because that relationship may have been for a season, and it may have served its season, and you did not lose something for being deep. You gained. Maybe you helped that person. Maybe they helped you grow. You gained from being vulnerable. So still be yourself. Still do what you would do if you were connecting with someone online. I think what I was talking about earlier, I think sometimes it's easier for us to say things to an online friend because it's behind a screen, right? And then we get in real life circle and things are awkward because we can see social cues and maybe we don't recognize the social cues, and now you can see my whole full body and not just my upper half top face. And so I think it does add extra layers there that may prohibit us from truly being ourselves. But I think being yourself is the most important thing that you can be. Not everyone will respond, but you don't need everyone to respond. You need your friend to respond, and your friend, whoever they may be, will respond to you being you, because there's only one of you. And that's what you want. Now, let's say maybe you are asking for advice as far as you've developed a deep relationship with someone online and you want to bring that to real life. You want to meet this person. Well, that's different. I definitely think practicing online internet safety is very important because you don't want to be meeting someone that you don't know too well. But if this is someone that you have truly come to form a connection with, like you know a great deal about them, you have talked with them for quite a while. I know my good friend that I have made via online community, I've now talked and known her for over 2 years. Wow. Which that is some time right there. Maybe even longer than that. I may be recalling the time a little bit falsely here, but that's a long time. And if you are going to meet with someone, make sure it's in a public place. Again, just practicing that safety, right? I know a lot of people that I'm friends with in what is called the Clue Crew, a fandom for Nancy Drew games. A lot of Clue Crew members have met up in real life. Always seems to me that they find public places to go. I think that's a good idea. It's safe for everybody, right? But also you want to do it with people you are familiar with. Would not be wise to go and meet someone that you've only talked with a few months. So establish that relationship. Talk to them for a very long time before you ever meet someone, so you can truly make sure you know who you're meeting. And I hope that answers your question. I'm so sorry. I was a bit confused, and I hope I answered what you were looking for. If not, you can always resubmit and I can come back to it on the next episode. But thank you for asking that question. Truly, as such a wonderful question. It had multiple parts to it, so it was fun to answer. Oh goodness. And you guys, we're still here answering very difficult questions. You have got to hear this next one, because listen to what someone asked. Who has, or have, if multiple, been the most influential person or people in your life? Oh my goodness. What a question, right? Well, I can tell you this. Currently, right now, in my life, my wife, that's one. Her name is Anai, and I don't know what I would do without her in my life. You know, she is an extraordinary person, and I knew that when I first met her. See, my wife and I, we were friends first before we ever dated and then pursued in marriage and everything. We were friends first, and I knew then, I was like, she's an extraordinary friend, extraordinary person, and she's just taught me so much about life. She's carried so many hard things and persevered through probably some of the hardest stuff that a human could bear, and the way that she has carried herself has always been so graceful and living with so much purity. And that's a really hard thing to do when you've had a lot of tough things happen to you in life. But she does. And she just knows how to light up a room. And I always just learn so much from her. And I learned so much from her Christianity as well. I think she is a beautiful Christian. And I don't say that lightly. I really don't. She just gets it. So that's definitely one person. And I would also say my parents. I have been blessed with phenomenal parents, but also as people, I just think that they are so sacrificially giving and loving to others. And I have always really appreciated that about them. They are always constantly doing for another, and I appreciate that. And the next person, and probably the last to answer the question, is my grandma, because my grandma is a lady that raised 3 kids by herself and worked super hard to support them. Also had a very tough life, and I just admire her ability to be steadfast and do hard things and care for her family. And she's also really funny. She's very quick-witted, and I love to make her laugh. Anytime I see her, I'm like, if I can just make her laugh, because she has the jolliest laugh. And yeah, no, she's just inspired me by the way she lives her life, just so dedicated and so steadfast. So, oh man, tough questions in the very first episode of Ask Carter. I love it. And okay, this is excellent question that I kind of get to go a little bit deeper with. This is wonderful. Somebody put in, would love to hear the story about how you and your wife met and fell in love. Okay. So, my wife immigrated here to the US when she was 11 years old. So she was born and raised in Mexico, lived her nearly entire childhood there. So, you know, the way that she got to Louisiana and everything, I feel, is such a God thing. And I say God thing because it isn't random. It just, to me, it's not random. Anytime I recall the story, I'm like, no, these are not random things. This is totally and completely seen by God. So her parents, who at the time of moving here did not know much English, were sitting on a bench at the mall. And they were sitting there, and there was a man that came to sit on the other side, and he was holding a baby, and the baby had these big, beautiful blue eyes. This man looked very American. And they were talking in Spanish about, oh, what a beautiful baby, that she's just so pretty with her eyes. And he turned around and responded in Spanish. And they were just like, kind of like shocked, like, oh, this American man, he speaks Spanish, which, you know, they had been here for a few months and were kind of just shocked because they had not seen or met anyone else that had spoken Spanish. Come to find out, this was the assistant pastor at the church that we went to at the time. His dad was a missionary in Guatemala, so he was raised in Guatemala and spoke fluent Spanish. And so he convinced them to try out the church that we went to and come check it out. And so they did. And that is actually where I met Anaí, was at church. And like I said, you know, we did not have one of those stories where it's like, you know, two people walking by and they catch each other's eye, right? And it's not like that. But I really appreciate the way that ours worked out because we were just really, really good friends. And I don't know, I think being friends first has made our bond so strong, you know? Actually, it was really funny. Just being friends, we hung out and then hung out again and again and again, to where our hangouts just became more and more frequent. And there was this guy that was trying to score a date with Anaí. And we were actually hanging, but Anaí wasn't really interested, you know, she wasn't trying to pursue that, you know, and we were actually hanging out when this guy called. And I think that was a big realization for us, because when he was calling, she was like, I don't want to answer it. We were actually taking a walk outside, kind of like in a park area. And that was like a big realization for us, because we're like, wait a minute, we hang out a lot. And, you know, when presented with an opportunity for a relationship, you don't want to. And I didn't want her to either. Actually, she tells a story, it's that when it did happen, that I was just very like, well, are you gonna answer it or? And I think that's so funny because I didn't want her to answer it. So then we had a very, very long talk that day, night. I think we ended up talking for like hours, like 5 hours maybe, just nonstop talking about what we were realizing. And the rest is history. We've been together for 10 years, for an entire decade, and we've been married for 5. So that's kind of our story. um, has a lot to do with being friends. And honestly, that's my favorite thing, because I think if you know how to be friends, then lots of things can fall into place a whole lot easier. So, yeah. Thanks for asking me that question. I don't think I've ever gotten to really officially tell that story anywhere, so that was really fun. And let's see, I think we've gone through every question but one. And I saved it right here for the very end because wow, I was overwhelmed, with excitement, gratitude, lots of emotions. So this is what this viewer said. This likely won't be shared or responded to publicly, but I was wondering if you know Jesus. And what a question, right? This submission said a few more things, but I think they were more intended for me to read. So I'll just respond to just the simplicity of the question. I would say yes, I do. And I'm really glad to know him. I don't know, I think that every day, because I meet so many people through my job, just through life. I see a lot of people that are just so broken, and I can feel it. I can sense it. So many people that need love, they're lonely. And, having God in my life, I don't know what I would do without God. And the beauty of living life is that, of course, all the cool things that we get to partake in, sure, that we talked about earlier, because those are cool things that God has allowed us to be able to do. But one thing that I find to be an absolute honor every day that I get to wake up is I get to know Christ more in everyday life experiences, and that maybe in the everyday of life I can become more like him. And if I can do that, then it just makes for a better life. And it's less lonely. It is more peace. And I hope that maybe if you've ever joined a stream or watched my content, that you could see those things just from watching. I hope. I always find myself sometimes being shy, I think, to dive in and talk about it. But I don't want to be. But I think for me, I'm like, but I hope that those are things that you can feel without really having to say much, And I think you can. I had a really awesome, and I just felt compelled to share this story. I wasn't going to, but I had a really fun study group when I was in college that they were just absolutely hilarious people. I loved them, and we studied a lot together. And so, school can definitely trauma bond you, as they say. And my study group, they were not Christian. They weren't. And that was fine. There are many Christian people out in the world that are very good moralistic people and pleasant to be around. And there are some Christian people that maybe aren't as real. But I will never forget, there was an experience that I had with them where they were laughing, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Why are you friends with us?" And I'll never forget that. It always stuck with me. And I thought to myself, it was like, because I am your friend. Not because of what you believe, not because of the things you do, I am just your friend. I don't have to have a checklist. Just your friend. But I remember them asking that because they were like, you're a Christian. Like, why are you friends with us? And it just never really occurred to me to wonder. But I always hoped that I was like, but I hope they leave this and they just feel loved, And just know that, like, I am their friend despite anything. So I don't know. I think that that's always like my hope, is that even if I don't have a very like word to word conversation with someone about something, I hope that they can just feel my love for them, that I care for them, and that what they believe and who they are, that doesn't affect my love for them as a friend. So but yeah, I hope that has come through sometimes when I stream things, because it's definitely an important part of my life. But yeah, no, thank you so much for asking me. I don't know who that was, but I really appreciate the kind words and allowing me the opportunity to be a little vulnerable on the first episode of Ask Carter. Well, my friends, I think we did it. Wow. It's beautiful. Well, thank you guys so much for joining the first episode of Ask Carter. What a joy this was, to be able to sit down and chat with you guys and see your submissions, see your questions, and I appreciate you submitting some in. And if you have any more that you would like to submit, the description of this video has the link to do that. And I wish you all the best evening, night, morning, afternoon, whenever it is that you're listening to this. And you have a great rest of your day. Bye, you guys.